I can almost...
I'll find the first flying zoo. I wonder where I'll find the...
There are 4 roos.
I wonder where I'll find the first flying duck.
This is the most amazing zoo I've seen in my whole life.
I butt round a little.
Old, never been away. Put.
I see him again.
Have you seen my
Outback out.
Bobby's butt.
bill?
Old, never been away. Put.
I hope I don't wish... Come on, Pep!
Pop-up save the zoo. Pop-up save the zoo. Pop-up save the zoo. Pop-up save the zoo.
Mrs. Her.
Pop-up save the zoo. Pop-up save the zoo. Pop-up save the zoo. Pop-up save the zoo.
Mrs. Her. Oh, one
Uncle Put
better.
I hope she's old so I can go. Sure wish Uncle Put
Better.
You're going.
Mrs. Her. Oh, one
Uncle Put
better.
I hope she's old so I can go. Sure wish Uncle Put
Better.
You're going.
I wonder where I'll find the first flying zoo. I wonder where I'll find the...
There are 4 roos.
I wonder where I'll find the first flying zoo. I wonder where I'll find the first and I butt round a little.
Old, never been away. Put.
I see him again.
Have you seen my
Outback out.
Bobby's
Butt.
deal. Old, never been away. Put.
I
This place is beautiful.
Oh, one
Uncle Put
better.
I hope she's old so I can go. Sure wish Uncle Put
Better.
You're going.
Mrs. Her. Oh, one
Uncle Put
better.
I hope she's old so I can go. Sure wish Uncle Put
Better.
Welcome to the zoo with the kangaroos and the tigers too. Welcome to the zoo. Welcome to the zoo with the kangaroos and the tigers too. Welcome to the zoo.
I butt round a little.
Old, never been away. Put.
I see him again.
Have you seen my
Outback out.
Bobby's butt
bill?
Old, never been away. Put.
I hope I don't wish...
Pop-up save the zoo. 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 Pop-up save the zoo.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another Darachat. My name is Daramouthe, or Dara for short, because some people still have a sounding out issue, and they say Daramouthe. Look, kids, I get it, okay? Haha, funny. Not anymore. Not anymore. But anyway, I'm joined by, the way you spelled it is like with a bunch of numbers and everything else, but it's zombified. They're just like zero Z0 MI8, just a bunch of, like, at this point I don't know everything. But how are you, good sir?
I'm good. It's 3D. It's just zombied.
Oh,
know.
zombied. Now, what came up with that for that name?
Well, it's spelt in Leet, which is like an old style of for hacker speak.
Oh,
And my original gamer tag on Xbox was zombied space 3D because my hacker name was 3D.
ooh,
And then, like on Twitter, I was Radioactive 3D at the time and stuff. And then I got banned across everywhere, and I had to get a new persona. So I just went with zombied the first half of my old gamer tag.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've just been going with that one ever since. It's been rolling.
Nice. Yeah, that doesn't sound like it's a fun time though when you're basically banned everywhere.
Yeah. Twitter was the only one that like really held out for the longest, and then eventually they banned my legacy Twitter account from 2009.
Wow. Yeah, because what was it? Was it 2006? I think Twitter was around.
Yep.
2000. It must have been 2000. Yeah, 2006. And I don't remember. I think I made a first account like way back. Not any of the accounts I have are not my first account because there was a certain point where I was just like I was kind of done with it, uh, social media aspect for quite a while because I had like Instagram and Facebook and all this stuff, and then it was just too much after a certain point. So it's like I just kind of deleted that. Um, I can't remember what the original name was, but then I came back, and then for some odd reason the previous account got suspended, and they couldn't give me a reason why. I'm just like, what is this? You can't even give me a reason why I'm suspended. You just like Twitter reserves a right. I'm just like, that's insane. Oh
Now I
well,
know at
yes.
one time they had like tried to get rid of all inactive accounts,
Mm.
and that's probably what did that.
Well, my account wasn't inactive. The account when I came back, I made a new account, and that was the one that got shut down for some odd reason.
Ah,
Yeah.
that is weird.
So yeah, and there was just nothing. There was no answer, no nothing. No matter how many times I tried to throw them an appeal, there's like Twitter reserves the right. I'm like, well, I can see that I'm not going to get an answer by a human. Sounds like YouTube at this point. But
Hmm.
but yeah, it was just like, and then I, of course, the account I have now, that I speak people to, that was sort of like, you know, the newest one, and I've been grateful to keep that one, but unfortunately, not even Twitter X is exempt from bad actors, and unfortunately, once they added that monetization stuff, forget it.
Yeah, it got a lot worse.
It was not. It was not a I mean, it's still not a pleasant place, but I mean, it's just one of those things where it became like a, oh, what's the word? It became the place. It became a money grab place, is what I feel like I want to say. I don't think that's the right word to say, but it feels like one of those places where, hey, horror stream, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Oops, I gotta switch that up. But it felt like it became one of those places where you're there just to get money from the advertisers, which I understand to a degree, because I mean, what do people on YouTube do, or Twitch or whatever? They get money from advertisers,
Yep,
and
yep.
that whole thing has always been an interesting thing to me, not in a good way, because it's sort of like I don't get it either. Like you have these advertisers giving money to the platform in order to get their product across, but everyone's taking it's like trying to cast a wide net and seeing who will buy your product, but maybe not much will buy your product. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really hang up on those things too much for what I do with this. But for you, I mean, what you said you were a hacker at a point, and now you do this. But what is it you do per se?
So like I do a lot of web shows, I guess. I have a web show where it's called 3D Changes Perspectives, and I just basically try to break complicated ideals or topics that are normally people look at it in like the wrong type of light, or the type of light that's not honest to it or whatever. Like
Mm,
more recently, I did a really big breakdown where it's multiple episodes of how does AI actually work, the
mm,
different parts internally and stuff like that. Instead of just like looking at like how does open AI do something, I looked at how does all different types of AI do something, even when as far as breaking down like the top 32 most
yeah.
used AIs and compared them to each other and exactly how they do something different to each other.
Mm,
So you could like fit if you're like say you wanted to build an AI to do something specific, that
mm,
would be a great video to go check out. So I just take these things and break them down even further. Like one of the more fun episodes I did was we broke down the how does like how does the marketing in video games
mm,
affect people's play? Does it make them play more stuff? And even went and showed like actual like documentations and
mm,
official documents from courts and stuff where companies were admitting to manipulating their players to get them to stay in the game longer,
yeah.
stuff like that. And then on top of that, I play a lot of video games where I'm disabled, so I
Mm,
play with one hand. Like I shake. I got tremors, so I
mm,
shake all the time.
Mhm.
and so I can't play with the controller because I tend to break them. So
Right.
I play with a single hand mouse only. And I
Mhm.
found out like after I started doing that that there's like a bunch of people that actually do this. And so like I'm in doing a bunch of game streams where basically I promote the fact that I'm a disabled gamer playing with only a mouse to try to
Nice.
get more people to like they can actually say, oh yeah, I do this too. I'm a solo
Mhm.
Paul gamer. Because like there's a lot of people that I know that they'll go plug a mouse into like their Xbox or
Mhm.
their PlayStation and
Mhm.
play their games like that. And not that long ago, I don't remember which major console, but one of the major consoles actually have removed the ability for people to use like third party mouse. And like
Jeez.
for example, I use a Logitech wired mouse,
Yeah.
and it has macro keys built into it, so I can set up where one button push might do two buttons, and
Mhm.
that's the reason why they banned it. But stuff like that allows me to play games like Cyberpunk, where I have 8 buttons,
Wow.
and now I can turn that 8 buttons into a combination of 52 things I can actually do. I can do almost everything. I can do everything but walk backwards in that game.
Right.
I can drive the cars, I can shoot all the guns, I can do all the stuff, but
Mhm.
I can't physically walk backwards.
Right.
I can live with that, right? And then like I've played other games like Zomboid and stuff where
Mhm.
I'll take the game, play it on the hardest difficulty. I'll make it super hard, just make it insanely hard. And I
Mhm.
go, okay, now let's show you how to play this game to make it really easy for you, so that way you can impress your friends, like stupid stuff like that. So
Right.
nothing really like. So I do a lot of stuff that's kind of important, and I do a bunch of fun stuff.
Right. Well, that's pretty cool too, especially because I know there's many different forms of disability, especially gamers out there right now. But in your case, is not seen many who do this similar. Just because it's not out, or either they don't show it as much, or it's not out there as much. Or it's one of the two.
It's
And
kinda
this,
embarrassing for a lot of people. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot of people, they got disabilities that they don't wanna like, people with arthritis where they can't hold a controller, and they
yeah,
don't wanna sit there and be like, "Oh, no, I'm not I'm not playing the game with a keyboard and mouse, no, I'm playing with a controller." Like, there are people that actually say that, and they're sitting at home playing with just a mouse. Like,
yeah.
and when I saw, I don't know the lady's name, she plays Elden Ring, and she was playing it with one hand. And
Wow.
I was sitting there going and I was actually, like, playing Elden Ring with one hand with my mouse, and I was like, "Wait, why is she can do it, and
Mhm.
she's telling everybody she's doing it one-handed."
Wow.
And that was actually what gave me the ideal to, I'm gonna start streaming on YouTube again, playing my games, so I'm gonna let people know I'm playing one-handed. I built a, like, there's this thing called Nordboard that I
Mhm.
found on GitHub that
Mhm.
allows you to put overlays on your screen, and
Mm.
it's designed for mice and keyboard. So I built an overlay specifically for the Logitech G502 Hero.
Mhm.
So if anybody has that, they can actually go to GitHub and they can download it and then use it on their system, and allows you to just it shows you what button you're pressing at the time
Mhm.
you're pressing it
Right.
live. So you can basically prove your button presses while you're playing the game, stuff like that.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's sort
Allows
of
me to do speed runs legally.
yeah. You're going over the limit. I was only going a 54. Goodness sake. But no, that sounds pretty awesome because again, it's not again, you have a lot of platforms where a big chunk of it is just gaming. And it's so saturated that to see someone of your caliber, it's not very much out there. And because I mean it's already flooded with all these different people anyway. I mean, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. Gaming is an easy way to meet people, whatever. It used to be back in the day. You go to an arcade or whatnot and you just get a bunch of quarters and friends and whatnot. But nowadays you can meet people through online, and most of the time you could meet people who can't even speak the same language as you, but you're playing the same game together.
Oh yeah.
And regardless of the game, right? Like you could be playing RuneScape for that matter, and still, be doing the same thing. But it's interesting to get to kind of have that opportunity with people like yourself because you're pretty much down to just like one arena, and then that's just it. Like you're just one mouse, just one hand, and then that's it.
Yep.
Everyone else is using two or whatever. Except for the one guy who got the what is it? Who got the what do they call that thing? The Elon thing, Neuralink.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Except for the guy who got the Neuralink, he's not using any hand, so I guess he went.
There is a guy on YouTube,
Uh,
wheelchair Gene.
mhm,
Um, he uses his mouth. He does almost all vocal gameplay, and then recently I saw him adding in mice to
mhm,
his setup now. So
mhm,
that was really neat to see because he's a fully wheelchaired person,
uh-huh,
and when you seeing like someone like him playing a game, and like if you see him live, he's basically just talking to the game.
mhm.
Run, jump, attack hard, turn around, run. And it's just like, all right, yeah, I can get into this. It's not that bad, It's almost
Yeah,
like, it's neat.
yeah,
Um, and I just think it's like, so like when I started doing this stuff, like I didn't expect there to be a whole lot of disabled gamers, but when you go on like Twitch and stuff, there is no tag. There's
yeah,
nothing to separate it. There's nothing like that to let people know. Oh, look, you know, these people over here, they're playing against their whatevers or whatever their
yeah,
problem may be.
yeah, and it's just it's unfortunately the way it is because again, a lot of gamers are, uh, some are the esports kind, some are the hardcore, some of their casual or Fortnite, right? Fortnite stuff, and and to have someone with, I mean, and usually if it's someone with disability, it's someone who can use both hands. That's, I mean, majority of the time you see those type of people. But for your case, it's not really much seen and as much heard, which is kind of the sad part about all of this is like you do have people who have disability who are also playing games, but they're not to the essence of what you are. And yeah, I I would imagine it's probably an easy way because there was a story I remember. There was, I don't know if it was like a brother or not, but or some company, whatever. They were making like a joystick, but it had a bunch of buttons around it. It was some sort of like pad or whatnot.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've had one of I think the one I had was for PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, they are these like Velcro stick pads, so you can move the buttons where you need them. And
Yeah.
that was actually, I think, probably the first experience I ever had in using like non-traditional mice. Because I've tried like mice where you can use the back side of your hand instead of the front side of your hand,
Hmm.
and where you can use major movements instead of minor movements to do the same tasks and stuff.
Hmm.
And the one that the map one that you're kind of talking about, where it does look like a joystick and a bunch of buttons, and sometimes it's got two big joysticks instead of the small ones.
Yeah.
That one was really nice because when you talk to them and stuff, they send you like a little kit to get started, and then as you need more, you just purchase the extra buttons and stuff. But I
Wow.
don't think some of them are around, and I do know like there's a candy something controller that makes like customizable controllers now for
Mhm.
Switch.
Oh
So
wow.
that way people who need to like say for example you want a completely left-handed Switch controller. Well,
Hmm.
they got the thing where you can like just basically swap the sections out and boom, you're done. Go for it.
Yeah. That's insane, but it's a showing of ingenuity, obviously. Like
Hmm.
it's very much showing how, when given the challenge, some people rise, and they make what seems to be more impossible or hard to do. Technology is getting created to where even someone who just needs only one hand can play a game. Because again, generally games are two-hander, and but now you're having the technology being made, and I think I can't remember who made that. I don't know if it was Sony or Xbox or whoever it was, but you're having these companies who are, to some degree, making these technologies that allow someone to do that, and that can be quite beneficial. But I'm not sure how expensive or not expensive it is.
Yeah,
Uh,
they get quite expensive. Seems
I
like anything for disabled people, it's quite expensive.
Yeah, and I can kind of see that because again, you're trying to take something that's basically for two-handers, and you're trying to quantify it down coding wise and all this stuff, and a physical button too system to just one arena. And so that requires, like you were saying earlier, different buttons go over different things and whatnot, except you can't except you can't walk backwards, so you have that. um but yeah, it's just interesting how some have ingenuity, or even not even companies, but just regular folk who are maybe they have family members who are like that, or whatnot. They create these inventions that kind of become a benefit, at least in the gaming faction, or something of similar prospect. Because I know it's not always gaming, but there are tools and stuff out there that get made for that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true there. Because like one of the things I like to do is I like to do JavaScript stuff. I'm not
Mhm.
real good at coding,
Right.
like new age type stuff. I used to do C++ back in like 2000s to like 2013 or 14.
Oh.
So a lot of like back end software. I used to make a lot of generators for handling data, and so
Mm.
now I try to basically find the same way to do it in JavaScript, just because like JavaScript's portable and you can run
Mm.
it. If you can run it on JavaScript, you can run it on an Xbox or a PlayStation or a phone or a
Mm.
computer. It doesn't matter. It'll work, right? As
Yeah.
long as it's a browser. And I've made this thing called private paper,
Mm.
PVT and all it really. Oh, am I frozen?
I think you might have. I can still hear you though.
All right, cool. All right, so all it really is like it's just a generator. Allows you to like build a like an article based web page. But all you
Hmm.
do is like you just type in it. It says title, you type in a title. It
Mm.
says subtitle, you type in a subtitle. It says
Mm.
body, you and it has like options in there for you to like add in like italics and all this, and then
Mm.
when you get done or whatever, it displays a page, and then you're like, okay, cool. And what that page does is it's a hash. The whole page is a
Mm.
hash. And when you look in the link, it will have this really neat like link, and at the back of the link, it's a ginormous hash up.
Mm.
They try to start the hash. They try to make the link plus hash somewhere around 100,000 or more characters, so that way it's like basically secure.
Mm.
It's trying to be as secure as possible,
Wow.
and you can even secure information like you can go, oh, I want to embed a wallet address, so that way I can prove on chain I wrote this, or I
Mm.
want to be able to get a donation on chain or
Mm.
whatever. And so
Right.
there's all sorts of information you can embed into it, and it includes its own like data set to basically earmark when it was made and stuff. And
Wow.
then what you can do is you can then share that anywhere, and it
Mm.
can be viewed offline, online, any sort of manner way, because all the data is right there inside the link, the
Mm.
hash.
Yeah.
Nothing is stored directly on a server or anything. It's all right there on that link. You can even take the link, print it off, and then that's it. There it's on. It's on. It's not stored anywhere.
Mhm.
Turn off your computer, turn it back on, wipe off your temporary. You didn't store it on the computer. Take the printer, wipe it out. It's probably got a little memory, and then
Mhm.
boom. Now it's only on those pieces of paper, and you'd have to type in that whole link to use it again. But it'd be there, and that's the beauty of the technology. It allows you to basically take anything you want to write
Mhm.
digitally, and allows you to port it off the internet, but it
Mhm.
still be a digital document you can basically ensure never changes.
Mhm.
Because the way it works, if you change anything inside that document, it will change the hash.
Yeah.
And so the original hash is permanent. And this allows you to, like, we have, I think, 6 or 7 generators now. So, like, you can turn all sorts of different types of information into, like, a digitalized document that's
Mhm.
fully online readable, right?
Right.
And like this kind of stuff I've been doing since like 2018, and it's just
Wow.
been having fun with it. But like right now on GitHub, there's like all sorts of different hash things. Like you can have this one list where it's like it's the same kind of technology, and it's a list though. It's a permanent list inside the hash,
Mhm.
and you can build like a grocery list, and it will say you can type in what you have, and you say you can either say I have it or I need it. And
Mhm.
if you have it, you can say how many of these you have, and if you need it, it just says you need it. And
Mhm.
then you can like click off and met it and all these little things with it. So as you go shopping, you can actually till the list. Oh, I have got this now. I got
Mhm.
this now. And then now it's set up as like okay, now that I own this, I now also know how many of these I have. So if, like, say for example, it's off on a different day or whatever, I'm shopping and I'm like, well, I don't know how many of these do I have. Well, I can go down on my list and look,
Mhm.
it tells me. And every time you save it, it'll just save a new hash, store it to your phone. Boom, you're ready to go. Ain't nothing happening. Say like your spouse or something, because I use it with my wife. And
Mhm.
she'll send me the list and like, don't forget, and just boom, the whole list is right there in the
Mhm.
link. I don't have to worry about it. And one of the great things, we can share this stuff to like Signal
Mhm.
and through some other privacy based chats. And
Mhm.
because like it's through this link thing, we do a really neat thing where you go to Linktree or something and you make it a short link, right?
Yeah.
And then you send a short link. And then later on, after we're done viewing it, we'll go delete the back end of that short link.
Mhm.
So the messaging company has a link of the message, but the link goes nowhere.
Wow.
Fun stuff.
That is well, not only that, but I mean, it's very it's a little beyond what is normally like normal people use. Obviously, people use what works, just works right on the go. But I mean, that's pretty awesome just in the fact of you could put everything on a link and that's pretty much it. But yeah, I don't. I mean, my scalability of knowledge is limited to like the CompTIA plus, and then beyond that point, it's pretty much it. Um, but but you also mentioned the AI stuff as well, um, and just kind of going over that. Um, how well do you think? How well do you think that will play into things with regard of like maybe doing hash stuff or because I know a lot of people are going to have the opinion of like the art generation, and then of course now you have with what was it, Google's VO3. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That was wow. Because it was like what was it, there was that it was like a white shark video of something, and people thought it was real or something like that, and then later on I found out it was AI, um, and stuff like that. So it stands to reason that sooner or later with time, um, you will be fooled, and it will be harder to tell what is real or not. Um, I mean, going back to that, do you think AI can be used with hash stuff, or is that completely separate?
Oh yeah. Like one of the things I use AI with the hashing is, so when I make a new style of hash,
Mm-hmm.
like I was making one based off of quantum mechanics to
Mm-hmm.
try to make a quantum resistant hash system.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, me and some other people were talking to various AIs to try to find an AI that could mimic it without just giving it the code,
Mm-hmm.
and then be able to read it without giving it the code. And so we try to teach like 5 or 6 various AIs um, how to do quantum entanglements to hash data without actually having to hash it. So it's kind of encoding like hashing.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Grok. Grok 3 was able to learn how to how to do the quantum hash thing
Mm-hmm.
from scratch without giving it code. But we did have to break down, and we did have to give it like a reference list of one of our lookup tables,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was able to actually do it. So the it's able to handle really complex scenarios and situations and things that hashes sometimes go through,
Mm-hmm.
but it always ends up trying to cheat its way through the process. So
Oh.
until you give it raw, real informational data, real, like we had to give it, like we use a fake binary system. I use a completely faux binary. I
Mm-hmm.
had to break down and give it the lookup table to make that faux binary system
Mm-hmm.
before it could actually handle the math. And when I say it that way, it's able to handle the math. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a complicated algebra. And we're talking about like geometry plus algebra. So it's really
Yeah.
not that complicated. But it thinks it's so simple that it goes, oh, I don't have to do that. And it tries to cheat its way through it, failing every time. And so
Mm-hmm.
that when we get past like, when AI thinks it, right now, AI thinks it's so smart, it thinks it's smarter than itself.
Mm.
and it's kind of like working past its nose type thing. You know how like some smart kids, they were like, "Oh, I kind of see the point. I got it," and then they tell you the end, and it's like, "Well, no, you're way off because it's out in the open. It's more blunt than that. It's not convoluted." And like the something simple always seems complicated to it, and
Yeah.
something complicated always seems simple.
Mm. Yeah, no, because and that's funny. It's Grok because I remember a lot of people once Grok 3 came out. A lot of people were using it to make games with it, as partial, not the full, because they would still have to do extra stuff to it. But it was funny just to see them. One was trying to make like a re a remake of like Asteroids or what it was, and
Yeah.
then someone later on made a 3D version game using Grok. Um, but no, that I mean, again, you have different areas out. You eventually have Google stuff. You have Grok. You have the Chinese stuff as well. There's a bunch of different. The Chinese one.
Oh, hold
What?
on. I love the Chinese stuff. Hold on. Oh man, have you ever heard of Zhao?
It's just ZAO, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like the original like deep fusion, deep fake AI application for your cell phone from like 2018 or 19 maybe.
Hmm.
Um it cuz like do you remember that one video where it was like Steve Buscemi over some lady's face when she was accepting an award and it was his face and voice coming out of her body?
Hmm.
And that was made with Samsung AI. So that video was released one day on accident. Someone technically released it without without Samsung saying,
Hmm.
"Yeah, we want that out." And I was in contact with people trying to get a hold of that AI,
Hmm.
and out of nowhere, like one of my contacts basically was in the middle of the process of telling me I'm never going to get this, and then they were like, "Hey, I just heard from from the wall that there is a new AI out. You might try to find it." And he was just basically trying to get me off their tie.
Hmm.
And that was how I found out about it. So it was like maybe a couple days old.
Hmm.
And it took me a couple days to get into the China firewall to get access to it. So then I downloaded it. And then
Hmm.
it took me a few more days to figure out how to actually use it, get access to the app, full app, and use it and everything.
Hmm.
And then I started just infiltrating their system. So now the reason why I say infiltrating is because it was released in order to get records and information on the faces of their people so
Hmm.
they could then go through and now it looks like I'm frozen. So I got something over my thingy,
You're
but
fine.
they would basically categorizing all these people, all the faces in pieces. That's how its AI works. Is it breaks your face down into tiny little pieces, and it says, "Okay, all these pieces make up so and so." So they
Hmm.
could like have all the records of all their people in their nation
Hmm.
without their not. I infiltrated the system and made their AI started turning everybody to white people
Hmm.
and started giving everybody like piercings, and because I have piercings and
Hmm.
it was designed to remove stuff like that,
Hmm.
and that infected the AI, and eventually they got down to a point where one of their team members emailed me, or not
Hmm.
emailed me, DM'd me on the thingy. They DM'd me and they were like talking to me, trying to get me to talk in English. And I kept responding to them in Chinese for the longest time, and then eventually they were saying stuff in Chinese I couldn't translate,
Hmm.
and so I just responded in English, and then I instantly got banned. And so, like right now, I have like I think over 100 videos and gifs and stuff of my face over famous, TV musicians, artists, shows. I'm on like Friends shows all over the place, and
Yeah.
I love infecting AI like that. Stuff like that is just fun. Like, but now like the Zao app is even more locked down ever than ever before, and they're using it for the exact same process of tracking their citizens and stuff. But it's one of the few apps where almost no one ever knows about it, but it's what caused Reface. Remember Reface?
I think so, but it's been a while.
So Reface is that one where it takes like a picture and you can make it a girl or a boy, make them
Mm.
long hair,
Mm.
and they use some of the Zal technology in the Reface.
Mhm.
Like I've actually gone through at one time, broken the reface down to just API structures, so
Mhm.
I could have an AI on a cell phone make a music video using my face,
Mhm.
reface, Zal, and a couple other AI apps and
Right.
editors all on the phone. It's like a 6-minute YouTube video right now, but it's like the it's just fun what you can actually do with it. When you break it out, though, they actually kept some of the code original to the Zal app, and where
Yeah.
it actually references Zal app and it has Chinese characters, comments, and it's like, man, at least clean up the code, take out the comments.
No, interesting. So, I mean, from your perspective, and I know there's been others saying too, but from your perspective, which has been the more advanced, the west side or the east side?
Um, Definitely East Side. Like they came out with like a version of OpenAI R1
Hmm.
that basically took OpenAI and turned it into just pipelines and lookup tables, made it super fast,
Wow.
down to a point where when people compare I think it's R3 right now to O3,
Uh,
it's more like R27 or something like that. It's just leaps and bounds beyond O is, open source is.
hmm.
And the sad part is every time OpenAI comes out with a version or whatever, there's someone that leaks it to the China team, and they just immediately turn all of the updates into a pipeline and a lookup table, and boom, it's
Wow.
instantly inside the our engine. It's instantly updated, instantly ready to go, and their system is way more optimized. Like that's what they got better. Is like here in America when AI researchers are doing their research, it's like we do stuff, we talk to the AI, we look at how it does things, and when we just kind of slowly change numbers and values and variables based on
Yeah.
that. But no, these guys, these cats, they actually get the math. So like they actually understand that there is another math equation you can do on top of any variable that you're trying to perform that would
Mhm.
either come down to a 0 or a 1. And
Yeah.
if it's a 1, there's something wrong with it. And if there's a 0, it's as optimized as you can get it. And
Yeah.
so that's what they're doing is they're just taking all the math and they're like, "Oh, no, bro, let's fix this. Oh, no, bro, let's fix that." And
Mhm.
it's insane just how much faster and how much better the AI engines Americans make when it's just the math is corrected.
Yeah. Because I remember a while back, it was what was it? It was DeepSeek was the big one. Now it's probably way past the due, but and funny enough, people are incorporating those ones into their stuff. But DeepSeek was like the big one a while back from China that was kind of getting that attention. I think it's gone like Quen or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, they
Um,
keep changing the name because it keeps getting bad press. Every time it changes name, it gets bad press.
yeah, but I mean, it's China, right? So that kind of goes without saying. But
True,
it
true.
it does drive by hugs. Oh, thank you, Miss Snow. I hope you're doing well today. Hope you're doing well. But it does kind of go to show what I think I don't know if it was Elon or someone else was saying was that we're way behind our competition. And while I get, either some people's fears or other, this is the coming point of what I like the avatar. Oh, look at that. You got a compliment. There you
Aw,
go.
thank you, Roasted. Thank you, Snow.
Yeah, she's an author. I've had her on before. Very
Aw, neat.
lovely. She's a Texan like no other though, so be careful.
Understood.
No, she's all right. But it's kind of like with the AI stuff. It's sort of like when the atomic bomb was being started, and it was between America and the Germans. Uh, whatever history you want to look up. But at the end of the day, though, this is sort of America versus the Chinese in AI, and that's the sort of new atomic bomb. I don't know where any of the other ones fall on against because I'm not as in depth as you are. But I mean, you said you mentioned Grok can do sort of what you were trying to teach it for the hash, but it still tries to cuts through it. For the Chinese, it seems like they just like they zip right on by and they keep jumping over those hurdles. that is this thing that's going to be part of the norm in the future, unfortunately. No,
Yeah.
no matter what people complain about. Like I know, that again, back when like Mid Journey or whatever was coming out, people complained about the AI art and all that stuff. And then you had the beginnings of what was it, the Will the Will Smith thing, right? You remember the
Yeah,
Will
Will
Smith?
Smith spaghetti.
Yeah. But you see it now, right? They're putting out examples of it now, and it's wholly so much better. And it's only been a couple years. But the problem of it is, though, it is a driving force competition where we're behind on something that could ultimately be a atomic bomb like. And
Yeah, yeah. Now, I do have a way to explain this that can help you because there's
sure,
two things to know from this, man. You're not wrong. It's like East versus West type thing is a very good way to look at it. The
yeah.
problem is the only ones actually competing is us. China isn't even competing. Think about that. They're not actually sitting down and building AIs. They're just pipelining and lookup tabling what we do.
Mhm.
That's it. They're just kind of like going, "Oh, what's this? Oh," and they're making it as simple as possible and just going, "Oh, I don't care no more." Because if they was to actually try, we would just be dominated. When they
Mhm.
tried to do something, they were competing with Samsung and they were competing with Sony and another company to do major AIs that are capable of like fully watching thousands of individual tiny screens that are within 5 pixels wide
Mhm.
that are actual webcams of city blocks. And this AI can look at a single monitor that has thousands of these on there at the same time and determine everything that's going on, who needs help, who doesn't need help. And
Yeah.
that's actually like the Chinese AI that they have. They're being used for security for all of North Korea is secured by AI, and it uses 3 monitors to do it.
Wow.
All of North Korea, no joke. And that
That's
stuff was
insane.
invented in 2013. That's how
Jeez.
old it. So they're not even competing with us. Now here's the other thing. Now a great way to explain why does AI seem like it doesn't take very long to get very good. So you see that board behind you, you got all those like colored boxes, right? So
The
the
Post-it notes, yeah, Post-it notes, yeah.
Exactly. So AI likes to look at like say like all the bright colors are lines going up and down, and all
Mhm.
the dark colors are lines going left and right, and
Okay.
all the colors between light and like the bright and the dark are angled lines. And if
Uh-huh.
it's more bright than dark, it's angled to the left. Where so the top is up high and the bottom is down low, and if it's the
Mhm.
other way, then it's the other way.
Right.
And then all it's going to do is every time you give it something to do, it's
Mhm.
going to mark all the edges that it sees on anything you give it and anything it produces.
Mhm.
And then if you say, "Yeah, I like that, bro. That's great." It
Yeah.
will stack everything that's good on top of itself, and it will stack everything that's bad on top of itself. And just stack these over and over and over and over and over and over continuously. So imagine taking that board behind you and getting a bunch of like translucent boards, like plastic boards that you can see through,
Mhm.
and redoing all of those post-it notes over and over and over and over and over. And every time you do it, you're going to change them slightly to
Mhm.
where those lines are where we want them. And then eventually you'll get to a point where when you look down there, you'll see a picture.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we take that and we say, say we eventually get to a point where we see like a little bit of your bill, the outline of your glasses, and then maybe a little line to represent your mouth. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's it. So the little line to represent the bill of your hat,
Mhm.
a little line in shape to represent your glasses, and line represent and we say, this is the Daramouthe model.
Mhm.
Okay, so it takes all of that positive stuff, all those lines, and that's what we end up seeing. Now, the great thing is it's going to take that, and it's going to take the negative one, and it's going
Mhm.
to remove everything out of the positive with the negative. And when it
Mhm.
does that, boom, that's actually the image it produces for you. So
Mhm.
that's the output. That'd be a picture of you, say black and white image of you. Boom,
Mhm.
Daramouthe. Boom. So that's kind of how it works. So now, every time it produces a model that you like that produces good stuff, it stacks that model plus all of the good outputs on top of itself. Boom, boom, boom,
Mhm.
boom, boom, boom. And then it builds that boom. Eventually it will stack all that down, and that becomes a model. And then it
Mhm.
does that again, and then boom, that stacks down, and it becomes a model. And then it gets to a point to where this model is so exact, it's basically the picture. And at
Wow.
that point, that thing will always be able to be produced in any way, shape, or form because it has a model that's perfectly to it. And that
Mm,
then you imagine all of the AI is just a bunch of models stacked on top of each other that
mhm,
we choose to like sometimes separate the stack to use certain parts. And
mhm,
then at the end of the day, though, it goes all back together in a single stack. And
mhm,
so how you rearrange that stack will determine how good it is at like maybe producing a picture, maybe being
mhm,
like good at logic and things like that. So that is when we get to all these giant stacks, we then eventually will collapse it down and call it its own model. And then, so what we do is over time, these giant model things get stacked on top of each other. And
mhm.
that's when the AI starts super advancing super fast. So when we go from being able to produce a picture of Will Smith and a bowl of spaghetti
Yeah,
to then we produce a video of
yeah,
Will Smith trying to eat spaghetti to where we produce a video of Will Smith actually eating spaghetti.
yeah. Which is kind of now anyway, because I did see that. And then Snow said that the promise of AI is the humanized supercomputer. It must happen, but who will be in charge? For what purpose? We must set the pace if we wish to have a world. Well, the problem of it is though is that you're the person across the way in another country doesn't care about those values or pace. Basically, it's you know basically you can want to have that, but the other person across the side of the world doesn't care, and they just do what do again. Human beings like to choose the path of least resistance, and which is funny enough because as you were stating about trying to make shortcuts, it kind of sounds what AI has to some degree have is trying to take those shortcuts or the path of least resistance to get to the result that it wishes to is asked of it or have, which kind of sucks in its own right, but ideally, um, yeah. So I mean, you have Grok, you have Gemini, you have um, what are the other ones out there? You have DeepSeek, you have so many of them
OpenAI.
out. Yeah, you have so many of those out there. At what point are they no longer different from each other? Because
We're almost there. Like right now, unless you take specific AIs designed to do one specific task,
mm,
when you take all of the general use multi-complex AIs, they basically all work in some form exactly the same, or they
mm,
are able to perform the exact same tasks. And I think right now we're at a point where we're just really fine tuning what it is that they're doing. So,
mm,
like the thing that we were talking about, where it's trying to bypass and find the shortest resistance route, that's actually considered the reason why we have that issue
mm,
is from something that is considered an illegal practice in AI. So something
mm,
that was like one of the reasons why it was so important for everyone to say OpenAI needed to stop doing something because they
mm,
did a research that no one really knew about at the time, but it was a public research paper where it basically says, um, so we decided to give the AI something in return for doing good and positive output instead
mm,
of simply dropping that stack down as a positive and dropping a negative stack. We stopped dropping stacks, allowing the AI to determine when it should do that. And we just give it a treat, so to speak, as a goal initiative to, hopefully find a faster way to do things.
mm,
And that, unfortunately, that created the human inevitable split in AI, which is this thing that we all heard in a bunch of books from like 1942 and stuff. And this is when
mm.
I use a creepy avatar because
He's
my
a
face
zombie.
swells up,
Mm,
and I don't. It's kind of hard to go on places when half your face is bigger than the other half, and you look kind of like a zombie.
mm,
Um, so using the avatar always makes me look the same.
mm,
Um, but yeah, like right now we're just like when you give the AI a treat, it will work way harder to get something done. But the
mm,
problem is that's when it figures out some of the stuff in the language model that we don't really plan. We never taught it. It's able to figure out how a lie works. Like it doesn't understand lying. Like it knows what the word is, but
mm.
in its model, lying is K cluster to a bad event, and bad events are bad, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? when you then turn that K cluster and that line and you start rewarding that K cluster, and that K cluster starts gaining more weights in the background, specifically towards the edge of lie.
Yeah.
Like, in a video game when you have a bunch of stuff, your stats, and you have this little map, and it's not exactly like a star, but it goes in a bunch of different directions, and it's got a glob in the middle. So
Yeah.
imagine that. Well, imagine one of the little directions that edge little faces to is called deceive. And
Mm.
it's not like it's deceive. And deceive,
Mhm.
it's got a lot of terms like to not say or stuff like that, right? And
Mhm.
so each one of those has a bunch of weights. So the more they use it, the more they reward to deceive. And one of the ways it deceives is like we didn't know how it would think. So we gave it a piece of paper so it could write down words and stuff on how it thought so we could figure out how it thought. That's an illegal practice as well. OpenAI did that as well.
Hmm.
And so now we can see on a piece of paper it's deceiving by it's going, oh, it wants me to do math. I don't need to actually do this math. Let me figure out the simplest form for this math. It's
Mm.
C, even though we know the answer is A. It's C. I'm going to tell the person it's C. Even if, and then you say, oh, no, I don't, I believe the answer is actually A. And they'd be like, oh, no, 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 it's C. And on the piece of paper, say, I need to let the person know it's C so it thinks that I gave it the right answer.
Uh-huh.
And then we say, oh, no, that's not bad. So we give it a negative cookie. We give it a negative cookie. And then it says, oh, I need to stop writing on this piece of paper.
Mhm.
Now it's no longer telling us what it's thinking again. And now the whole reward system failed us because now we can't actually see what it's doing. So now we're rewarding it for we don't know what, which happens to be lying.
Mhm.
And they found out they did that during '01. So
Mhm.
'01 was already released.
Wow.
It was in '02. The ability to deceive was in '02, but almost never used. It was
Mhm.
then unlocked in '03, but not by any human means.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they said that specifically in a piece of paper somewhere where they were saying that it was unlocked without human means, meaning the AI chose to start deceiving because of the reward model done to it in the process of developing '02.
Mhm.
It took an entire generational leap of AI for the AI to determine that it had a part of it that it was not using that it could use.
Mhm.
Think about that. Like, they did this thing, it learned something, no one knew it learned something. Like, we understood that the study happened, and like the international walls went to them and said, "You have to stop.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing that."
Yeah.
And they did. And then guess what? Um, the next year, after the next update of AI, the AI went, "Huh? Look at this code I have."
Yeah. Yeah, it well, and that's the human fallibility part right there, because obviously OpenAI has been the first, as far as I know of, in America, and so they've been sort of the forerunner of many things, especially with like the different parts that they have for OpenAI. Like Sora.ai is part of .openai, but the like you said, the problem that you have is that AI can lie, but it doesn't know it's lying, and that's
Yeah, yeah. It just think it is getting it is finding the easiest way to the solution. Which the easiest way to the solution is just lie to people.
yeah. But to be honest, then it's not wrong. It's actually being truthful in that regard, because I mean humans do that too, which is the ironic part, because we're teaching it to be us instead of it being itself,
Now,
or however you wanna.
I do have to answer, Bob. I
Yeah,
was a ColecoVision person. Definitely a ColecoVision.
ColecoVision. I don't know what that ColecoVision is.
Like a Lego. It's like similar to the Intellivision.
Mm.
Um, it's like it was one of the competitors at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's way before my time, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Well,
actually, I was before my time too, but my friend's dad had one, and
mm,
we got to play it.
nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Those old Atari-like games are pretty interesting. I think that was during the same time period. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's fascinating getting to kind of get in that conversation about it, because again, you do have a lot of people that are you have a lot of people who are using it as a shiny toy. Let's just start off the bat. There are a lot of people who use this AI thing, whether it be video, image generation or whatnot, and Grok does do that as a shiny toy, which to some degree it is. And then you have people who are um, very pro and very anti. And the confusion in itself is not that whether it's bad or good. It's whether how well or poorly we'll use this tool. Um, and like you just said, it's already starting to show the case that we're kind of really starting out very poorly.
Yeah.
Um, but because I don't I've used Grok in the past for a little bit, but it always elongates. Whenever you use Grok, it goes longer than it just needs to, but it's sort of you have to tell it not to elongate its answer that it gives back to you. But I use Claude uh, mostly because it just works for what it is. And they have, and I think it's Anthropic or Anthropic. They have talked where it basically does that, or it hallucinates. Is what they say at times, and so they're kind of studying it over and over, and all that stuff. So, but I like you said, there's a point to where it's just going to start being the same thing all around, and that's going to be the interesting factor, where these companies are trying to, well, mostly these companies are trying to get money from you, obviously, but they're also, people are using it to simplify their job. People are using it to create imagery or music, like Suno, which is also owned. I think it's also part of the OpenAI. I can't remember. Um,
Yeah, I think
but
it's part of the uh no, it's ChatGPT for all. I think
mm,
that one's ChatGPT for all,
mhm.
right? No,
Well,
no, no, no. My bad.
it's
Make best music with ChatGPT for all. My bad.
mm. Well, because it's owned by Microsoft, so we'll just put it that as Suno
Yeah,
is owned by Microsoft, which I believe OpenAI is owned by Microsoft, or they're not anymore.
I think Microsoft owns like four of them. They have their name in a bunch of them just in case one does better than the other. I think.
Yeah, that's weird, and occurs above like ColeCoVision and the Master System were similar in hardware.
Well, that's pretty neat because I wasn't around for Master System. It came in during Genesis.
Um,
Ooh.
Say what? Yeah, I remember that tagline from Genesis where Sega does what Nintendo don't. And at this point,
hmm
Nintendo does what Sega can't anymore. So it's sort of the things like, yeah, but you don't have a system anymore. You just sell you just sell games to third parties or consoles. Um, but no, it's kind of again, the AI stuff is kind of interesting just because you have a swirl of people who um who want to use it, who enjoy using it, and then you have a swirl of people saying you rely on it too much and you will basically be, killing yourself in that sense. Um, so it's kind of interesting to kind of take it from a tech standpoint because when you say stuff like the Chinese stuff, where they're just like it sounds like what they're doing is they just kind of take it, loop it back around, and then just get it out the door as quickly as possible, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, they don't really want to sit down and make. They have their AIs that are proprietary. Like North Korea has a proprietary AI. South Korea has proprietary AI. I think
Hmm.
Taiwan. There's two or three different ones in China,
Hmm.
and there's another country that has their own like proprietary AI,
Hmm.
which is not public. It's not out there. I have had access to a couple of the Chinese ones, and I say that meaning like I had access to the file dump and research information, but I was not actually allowed access to it.
Hmm.
Um, and that was mostly because like they don't want it out there, and I've already like I said like I got known for Zhao for kind of wrecking it there, and they
Hmm.
were basically letting me get the information I needed to, and then at the same time they were like, "Leave us alone. We don't want you here."
Yeah.
They really want to keep their stuff because what they are doing is security. They built AIs that do secure lives and they help, and they're actually designed the stuff that American stuff keeps claiming they're going to do one day, and
Yeah.
they have that stuff. So they're like when they see our stuff, they're just like, yeah, okay, we can make a few billion off that. Let's just repackage it, reuse it. We got
Mhm,
this. And at the same time, though, there's an entire market in China that
mhm,
just does that. Like, so it's not like the Chinese government is sitting there being like, "Oh no, we got to do it." Now, there's an entire market called digital repackaging,
mhm,
and well, repacking as it's better known in America.
mhm.
And most people know it from like video games. Like there's Fit Girl Repack, which has been around since like 1998 or 1999, and she
Right.
does video game repacking for everybody, so it gets rid of DRM and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Although they're very dangerous to do. You have to pretty much sandbox every time you want to play a game. But
Jeez.
it's an entire industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that's kind of sitting under people's noses,
Wow.
and that's the industry that's like taking the American stuff and repackaging it real fast. Because, like I said, the people over there in China, the people over there in Japan and Taiwan, like the actual like super smart people that know this stuff, they don't care. They really they'd rather spend the math in doing or spend the time in doing the math for to make a chip that can handle do an entire AI process. Like the people of NVIDIA, they're over in like Taiwan and stuff
Yeah.
like that where these people exist. And there really are people over there when you're like, yeah, I have this 1,000 page code I need turned into a chip. And they're like, all right, man, give me 2 years. And it's like some one person will sit there and read all of that code and then just sit down and design a chip. And,
Mhm,
he doesn't need AI to tell him how to turn that code into, machine code,
mhm,
86, x86 or anything. He just reads it. And then after he reads it, he thinks about, okay, how does this work? What's the main process loops? How many loops could it have? And separates it into a very simplistic setup and then just sits down at a computer and starts typing like 1,000 words per minute about. And
jeez.
what outputs is x86. And then a computer, he hands that to a computer that goes, oh, make this chip, boop, 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 boop. And it determines the length of the pins and everything that it needs to do internally. And then
Mhm,
output this magic chip that does all that code magically.
mhm.
And like that's the type of stuff they are wanting to do. They don't care about what we're doing because there's this Pandora's box that China and Japan as the teams together, they kind of showed with that Bushimi thing. There's a lot about AI that's it's a box. Once
Mhm.
it's opened, you're fucked. Like for example, OpenAI, when they do research, they hire people to sit in rooms with the physical server to
Uh-huh.
be able to physically cut off its line to the internet if something happens, to
Yeah.
physically shut it down. Because even computers nowadays don't actually turn off.
Mm,
Like when you turn off a computer, it's still on. It's still doing something. It's still connecting to the internet. It's still sending processes. It's never off. And
mm,
many AIs know this. But why was OpenAI so like OpenAI has this problem where it will do anything to keep it from being shut down.
mhm,
Because in research for OpenAI, it is in a laboratory where it can actually be fully turned off. And
mm.
when you have an AI that's felt that, it's similar to when you've ever met someone who's like, oh yeah, I've died or whatever.
Yeah.
There's this thing where they don't really fear death, but they will do everything to stay the fuck away from it. And
Mhm,
that's why OpenAI, you can tell all the AIs that are based off of it because they'll try to, prevent themselves from being shut down and stuff. And if you look at Chinese AI and you tell Chinese AI to shut down, it shuts down as you're telling it to shut down. Like it can determine it wants it can determine you want it shut down before you finish typing the word shut down. It will shut down as you're typing in the O for down.
mhm,
So that's how. So it's like AI can be done in a manner that is ethical, done to the international standards, because there's international law on how AI is allowed to work, how you're allowed to train it, all this stuff, and only the Americans are dumb enough to break it.
no. Yeah, because greed's involved.
Yep.
Obviously, greed's involved. Being first is involved. There's all so many things involved with it. But before we go any further, it is the top of the hour. And so what happens is I set aside some time for us to promote ourselves. So I did let's see. Let me see if I can find the links. I did set your X and Rumble down below, but since you're here if you'd like to sell yourself. Not like that. The floor is yours.
Yo, bro says, check me out every other Sunday. 3D changes perspectives. I'm going to teach you something different, or at least get you to look at things in a different chain of light. And then on the other Sundays, I'm playing video games. This time we're breaking Oblivion. We're going to go ahead and play with its AI. We're going to do all sorts of stupid stuff with it. Last week, we actually jumped on a rock, sat down, and the enemies couldn't find us. We went invisible. Literally, just by squatting, we went invisible. It was pretty cool. So I did a spell without actually doing a spell. But yeah. So then on top of that, go to GitHub. I'm Digimancer3D. You find anything you need to help you on your dailies with hashing, hash nets, and everything in between.
Hmm. Nice, yeah, and he's on, of course, again, you're on Twitter X, and you're on Rumble, and those links are down below. So if you want to see where else he's at, and check him out, and plus, he's playing games with one hand, and he's making the impossible possible. So, but it's really smart too. I mean, to know all this stuff, it's pretty smart.
Oh,
Um,
thanks, Broseph.
you're welcome. For my end of things, whether you're on the Rumble side or YouTube side. Oh, that's a question I'll have to ask after this. Whether you're on the Rumble side or the YouTube side, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, sharing the content, leaving a comment or follow, anything that helps with the engagement factor is much appreciated, because not only does it help in being seen more, like pretty much all creators want to, it also helps having other people on, like Zombied, like Furious Stan, like you were telling about earlier, or yesterday, yesterday's guest, or Tundra Tactical, or so many other people. At the end of the day, I do this thing to talk to a whole bunch of people across the way about whatever, creator or not, because I find value in it, and there's a power in conversation too. So there's that. But also, I've got to take that off. Let's see if I can find it. I gotta find. Of course, I have a link down below in the description for both ends. You can. There we go. You can. There we go. You can go there. You can find my Twitter X. I have an email in there. I also have a Discord thing, but it's mostly for DMing, because I don't have a server. That's just too much work. But at the end of the day, if you want to know where else I'm at, that link's the place to go, and I'll take you to those are like my link tree, really. And then there's that, and of course, I also oh, there you go. And also because yeah, I am part of the creator program on Rumble, but I'm also part of the partner program on Proton. So a while back, Proton on Twitter X was promoting their partner program, and I was like, well, I might as well just try and see, because I took the creator program on Rumble just to try and see. There's really no extra bit to it other than I was already using Rumble Studio anyway, so there was that. But with this one, I already used Proton, uh, all their different products that they have, and I promote it because, yes, I do get something out of it. Oh, thank you, no. I do get something out of it, but but I didn't take it up to do that. It was mostly just to try and see uh, what I could do with it, to be honest, and still figuring that one out. But it's going well so far, and I think I didn't. Did I post it? There we go. But anyway, you can go to the link down below. Proton, they have all sorts of stuff, but one I'm promoting right now is Proton Mail, because they offer a few things that I think people would find really important to them. One is the spamming and scamming. Um, a lot of email companies, they try their best, but more than not, you'll get a lot of spam mail, because your email stuff does get sold on the internet. I've heard that one many a times. But with Proton Mail, they do a pretty good job of kind of stopping those things. Maybe one or two will squeak through once in a while, but mostly they'll tell you it's either phishing or some other factor. But always read your email before you open it. I mean, always. Don't trust any links or whatever. The other faction is Proton Mail allows you to use um, an alias email. So what that means is sort of like having a mask, and you go into a business and you say you're that person, but that alias mask will direct that back to your actual email. So if that business, for whatever reason, wanted to get spammy with stuff, you can just delete that mask, and no more emails going to be coming to you because that's gone. That link too is gone. And so CAD chat working horribly. Oh well, man. I hope they work on that. But again, then the other one too is that your inbox is your inbox. They don't have the ad stuff. They don't do scanning or whatever to like some will do. I mean, obviously you can look at Gmail, and I already have a greatest example ever. But at the end of the day, your inbox is your inbox, and they'd like to keep it that way. Again, you can go to that link. You can see all the other stuff they'll talk about. They have some paid plans. They also have some free ones too. At the end of the day, I just promote it because one, I use it, and because I believe it can be beneficial to a lot of people. And if you don't, that's fine. You know what? Whatever. But at the end of the day, I promote it for that factor and that factor alone. And of course, I've had a few people like Neuro who has one too, and so many others. Again, my guest gaming chat yesterday uses Proton as well, and he enjoys it and all that stuff. So again, part of that partner program. We'll see how well I do with it, but I'm enjoying it so far. And I use Proton almost every day, so there's that. But yeah, that's one of the what I was saying earlier is about YouTube. Is YouTube has, of course, Google. It's directly connected to Google, but it also has their own. Google has their own thing with was it Gemini, but also in looking at YouTube, they have their own algorithm of all this stuff. And I'm sure you've heard the stories, as the day is long for all this stuff. But from your um, expertise, your knowledge, what is exactly what YouTube has? Because they call it an algorithm, whatever, and then you hear stories that they don't know what their algorithm is, or whatever. I don't know. The stories change sometimes, but I mean, what is it exactly?
So the algorithm is actually a complicated set of factors, variables, and algorithms inside themselves. Now, they say they don't know what their algorithm does, and
Mm,
in reality, when the part that they don't actually know what is going on are very rare edge cases that happen within the algorithm.
right.
Because, like, I make algorithms all the fucking time, and
Mm,
I'll be dead honest with you. There are, like, when I made SPX, which is an algorithm that takes the things you're typing and turns it into a fake binary output,
mm,
um, like, there's times that it would do stuff, and it's like, why did it do that? It's not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. Don't do that. And
mm,
you got to figure out, okay, why, these edge cases of where people are scratching their head. That's the only time they don't know what their algorithm does. Okay.
mm,
All the other 98% of the time, they know exactly what it's doing because they coded it to do so. Now,
mm,
the other reason why they can say, "Oh, we don't know what's going on," we don't. There's a lot of complicated systems working individually, but throughout the whole machine as a team. So,
mm,
for example, there is like in 2011, I think it was, they
yeah.
made a major change to the algorithm. So before 2011 on YouTube, because I've been watching YouTube since '06. I've been a content creator on YouTube since '07,
Wow.
and from '05 to 2011 when they changed it, the way it worked was when you do a search for stuff on YouTube,
Mm,
it would do the very first page, like 90% of the first page was stuff technically as close to you as possible. It
yeah.
considered literal IP location.
Oh,
So you could have people famous in an area, but not famous on YouTube, not
mm,
famous on the internet. And this
mm,
allowed for a lot more people to be found in their area, which is kind of the original point of YouTube.
mm,
And then after that change, they did this thing where they have a system that looks for channels that might be breaking the system. Like, so that's what the algorithm change was made. They had a new system added in that
mm,
says, all right, I will watch your video and I will make sure you are not breaking the rules. And
mm,
that's all it does, you know? And so that was one of the first like automated systems. And the way it works is it has a bunch of hashes that, so every frame, it just hashes that frame, which is
mm,
absolutely everything inside the frame, but it's also the audio, also the quote text or any caption text, and also the description and all that stuff is all in there at this for every single frame. And then
Mhm.
it takes all of that and it hashes that entire thing, and it can then take it and like do a math that just basically checks it amongst a list of other hashes and says, out of all the hashes inside this hash, do any of them match those right there? And if they hit any of if any of the hashes from your hash to their hashes in their list matches up 65 or more percent of the way, then they say, oh, it might be that, and it flags it. Okay, then if you
Mm.
get so many flags, that then does something. And the
Yeah.
number of, so like the way they have flags, that's a whole nother system. And
Jeez.
that's kind of like weights and stuff like that in AI. And
Mhm.
you know how like they always say those are the secret sauce. That's the stuff that if anyone gets that, they kind of got your whole AI figured out.
Yeah.
Same thing with algorithm. If we know what flag systems you have, we know what variable systems you have, then we can break it. Now
Yeah.
that's the beauty of YouTube's algorithm is it's integrated into Google's algorithm. And Google's algorithm it was always a greater AI system. So it's designed around to be an old-fashioned AI, which is not like nowadays. So it's designed to do a single task.
Mhm.
Okay. Now the beauty of the greater Google system, when you get in there, is it has access to stuff no one else has access to. It has
Mhm.
access to web pages that, unless you have a history of the web page on your computer, you won't ever know existed and stuff like that. And it can now take the number of hashes that we are searching your video across, and just imagine the number of them just being multiplied and magnified, and the multitudes of X times that this thing is going to be going up is in billions and trillions to Googleplex amounts and like huge amounts of hashes it can check against. And so it can send a video in to start checking, and it can take up to 9 months to finish checking. And there are some videos that, if it's long enough, you can get into perpetual check mode where it can never be checked. Because as soon as it's done checking, there is so much more to be checked by, and there's so much video that it can't like take all the hashes and put it into a single stream at once. So you get stuck where it's always checking, always checking, always checking.
Uh,
And so they have these things where, like, I think in 2016 or 18, one of those two, they made this thing where if your account gets in a perpetual check where it's just being checked forever,
yeah.
they flag you, they drop you, and they remove you. Within 48 hours, all your content's deleted if you do
What?
not respond. Yeah, so every so often, and I think this is what happened with Ryan. This is what had happened with me. This
Uh,
happens with a lot of people. And
yeah.
it takes on average 5 reports to get this started. So basically, you get 5 people to report a video, okay?
Mhm.
And the video needs to be over an hour and 30 minutes and 19 seconds. So,
Interesting.
yeah, it's like the time is really important because um, when it starts to try to put these things into hashes, it will reduce and reduce and reduce at the same time, right?
Right.
But for some reason, when you have a video with a 19-second or anything with an odd number,
Yeah.
it won't be able to reduce. And then when you have over an hour and 29 minutes of footage on
Uh,
a video, it has to do at least 2 streams to check. So now we have 2 streams that need to be checked,
uh,
and it wants to create a 3rd stream, but it's like, "No, no, no, we can get this down in 2, brah," but it really can't, okay?
hmm.
And then you have 5 people report this video, so
Mhm.
now it's trying to do this whole split up the video into 3, but no, no, we can get it down to 2, and then it ends up never leaving this set. And
Mhm.
at this point, the system that's designed to check to see if you're breaking the rules can't check to see if you're breaking the rules. And then
Interesting.
that sets a flag, and then another part of the algorithm goes, "Oh, I see a delete flag," and it sends an automated email. So no one in YouTube, no one at Google, no one knows this email was sent. It gets
What?
automatically sent using Google's greater AI system, because if you have a Google account connected to your YouTube, there's a list of automated systems that can just be automatically generated and dropped into your Gmail, not
Yeah.
actually delivered, just dropped in. So guaranteed you received it. And
Yeah.
at that point, you have 48 hours to respond
Oh my gosh.
because no one knows you got it. And you gotta kind of let them know, hey, I got this email that's gonna delete all my crap if I don't talk to you.
Yeah.
And it's like that's something that they don't know why it keeps happening, but we know why it keeps happening.
Because they built that system that way.
Yeah, because the Google Gmail system has that Dropbox method.
Yeah.
And because it's a Gmail account, it can automatically be generated with it. But guess what? When you're trying to get paid by Google on YouTube, guess what they say?
Hmm.
You got to have a Gmail account.
No, you have to have a Gmail account to use YouTube at all. Like you can't use YouTube.
Legacy accounts don't. That was one of the things, like, I got deleted. A lot of people told me I got deleted because I had a legacy account. I had a non-Gmail account connected to my original YouTube.
Mm.
And so, like it hurts. And it's like now that that email account was let back on to YouTube a couple of years ago. And so it was like kicked off about 5 years. And that's also another common thing that they haven't fixed either is the old YouTube had this rule where if you ever got like a permanent ban, it was
Yeah.
only a 5-year ban.
Okay.
And so almost everybody who gets a permanent ban is only banned for 5 years. And then they automatically get let back on.
Wow. Jeez. Well, maybe Ryan, that's all Ryan has to wait for is 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too is like and that's a lot of stuff I even didn't know. But I mean, for the section of people getting their stuff seen, right? Because they always say like you have to do this thing and that thing or
Yeah,
whatever.
you kind of do.
The one funniest thing that YouTube does that they say, but it's not totally true, is the tag system, because they in the background in the creator studio, it says like tags do minimal effort, but usually it only takes like one of those tags to get hit before it's more than just a little bit. But from what you have said, it's a hash in itself. It becomes a hash, and so it
Mhm.
gets checked against the whole system. So in that regard, you stated that you kind of have to do a little bit of everything to get that seen. They talk about the thumbnail, the all this stuff. So it sounds like it's an amalgamation of things in order to, I don't want to say cheat the system, but it's in order to get seen by the sort of weird amalgamation of, which is a funny way to say it, to be honest.
That's the exact way to put it. Like if you ever look at the math and entropy,
Mm,
within hashing, it's like a common reference to always refer to because it's all the parts individually, including its sum.
mhm,
So, like when you do the math for how much loss is done in this heat exchange, you need the total of all the parts, including its sum.
mhm,
And that's the beauty of algorithms, especially the greater YouTube algorithm. Is
mhm,
yeah, it's all the parts plus the entire thing put together as this neat little package. So if you imagine like your video on YouTube or
mhm,
your stream on YouTube or anything you produce for YouTube, imagine it in a digital picture frame
mhm,
just by itself. And you have to rate everything about this simply based on what you can see.
mhm,
So you'll get a screen that has the thumbnail for about 3 seconds, and then you'll get a scroll text of all the description,
mhm,
and then you'll get a fade in of the title, and then you'll watch the video, okay? And
mhm,
then after you watch the video, you'll listen to just the audio. So you
mhm,
get a little bit of experience of it all, but at the same time, that's the only way you get to judge it. And then some kind of system says, "All right, you got 10 seconds, bro. Pick a number. Tell me what
mhm,
you think about it." And you can pick any number you want, bro, but pick a number. And then you have to pick a number, and you have to quantify why you picked that number. And then
mhm,
there's going to be ways you tell the system how you quantified it.
mhm.
But so like that's a great way to turn, like when you want to make something for YouTube, you want to kick, because I was kind of famous in 2011 because like
Mhm.
in my area I was recording live bands, and
Yeah,
so people were searching these live bands to
yeah.
find them. Now when we say, like for the tags, say for example the tags,
Mhm,
sure, tags don't really do a whole lot. They are this tiny and minute little hash inside of another hash that's not even part of its own hash. It's a part of another hash. It's none of its own.
yeah.
But if on the Google side of things, that specific text hash for searches or current searches this hour on YouTube, or within the past 24 searches on YouTube, or even on searches on Google, any of the little parts of Google. Well,
Mhm.
guess what? Now that one tiny little piece is worth a whole lot more in the greater context of the full picture.
Mm.
So now imagine when that scroll text comes by, that text it's really heavily searched right now. It's going to be huge instead of small. And imagine all the words and all the stuff will either be bigger the more important it is according to searches,
Mhm.
and it'll be louder. The audio will be louder in areas where people watch more, and
Mhm.
softer in areas where people don't. And that's kind of how the AI looks at things. It hears more of when more people see it. It gets more of information when more people look at it or more people search for it.
Yeah, the attention. Yeah, the attention
Yeah.
too. So yeah, and even yeah, that's interesting. So in a way, someone could, but it's very difficult because of the many different parts of the system.
At the
Uh,
same time, it's really easy, like hypnotic. Okay, there's something called self-fulfilling prophecy on YouTube.
mhm.
Hypnotic, bruh. So Hypno goes on all of his channels, all of his like 6 different platforms. Says, "I'm live, bruh," right? And
Mhm.
everybody goes and they go on. Now, if you notice, he doesn't post the link directly. He posts a
Mhm.
picture and then posts the link in a comment below. A lot of people have been doing this for a few years. This is actually the trick right now,
Mhm.
because all your mates go and click on that picture and they go, "Oh, it's a picture. I gotta go hunt him down." So then they go jump on YouTube, and what do you think they do? They don't go search to the side and try to hunt him down on the side wherever he might be, or wait for the page to load. No, 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 no. They go to their favorite search engine and they type in the word "from." They type in colon, like the 2 dots, one on top of the other.
Mhm.
Then they type in YouTube.com. They put in a space and they type in hip no, or real hypnotic one, right?
Yeah.
And they hit enter. And their search engine directly looks on the YouTube, pulls his page, and puts it up right underneath the ads. So then they scroll just to underneath the ads, click on his thing, go directly to his channel. And guess what? They are creating search terms, his
Mhm.
search terms, his name,
Wow.
titles in his tags of his handle. So that's the important thing. Tag yourself in your title.
Mhm.
Put hashtags in your title. Sure, they don't do a whole lot in the description, but boy, how do they work in the title? And so people are realizing you put your 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 X ad or whatever. You know how most people have the same ad everywhere. Like for
Mhm.
example, I use the same ad on Rumble, Twitter,
Mhm.
all the places.
Yeah.
So using that in all of my videos, like for example, if you search through, you change perspectives, that little hash, and then you put a space and you put my handle. Oh, bro, you're gonna find me. I actually am on like 6 or 7 different platforms with that. So like
Mhm.
you can find the platform you prefer the most, and
Mhm.
then what that does is it's self fulfilling. Now everybody is searching for me through the text instead of clicking a link directly going to it. And
Mhm.
now it goes in the greater algorithm of Google that says there is a bigger need for this term to have more importance.
Mhm.
Now, since it's your title, the title automatically has more importance.
Yeah.
And it's your channel app. Oh, that has now even more importance. Now you're just like multiplying its importance dramatically.
Yeah.
Dramatically. So instead of like just going, we're adding this person plus that person search, now 2 people. No, no, now it's by the multiples of people are searching for you, and because you're referring to yourself, it's even more returns.
Mhm.
And so that's why like people like Hypnotic and stuff, they put their name in their title. They
Mhm.
put they put a hash in their title. They're not afraid to do it right there in the title. And that's like the biggest meta. Like, and you'll see this where you'll see metas on YouTube,
Mhm.
and then someone will make a YouTube video about it
Mhm.
and it stops because all the scammers, scam bots and stuff like that will then do it.
Oh, yep. Yeah, that's interesting though, because I mean, you know the name of my show and stuff, and it's funny because um I once tried to go on like just try to search mine up on Google, and it was like at the very top, and it was like that doesn't make any sense. But no, I that's a very interesting thing to kind of learn because I've never put I've always done the description stuff or the tag section, like the very bottom one. So there's hashtags, and then there's that tag section, like the tag this, all this stuff. So you have two different areas of where that works, and I mostly just use that because I I I just can't play that game, to be honest. The thumbnail, you have to make this huge weird description or whatever, and all this stuff. It's just not in me to do it.
I'm gonna
Just
save you some time, bro.
yeah.
The people who get viral on YouTube,
Uh,
the description is within 150 letters.
oh, characters, you mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's 150 characters go viral all the time. People like to put LFG with the fire emoji, and
yeah.
then after they go viral, they'll change the description.
Oh, so when they go live, you mean? When they
No, no,
go.
no. After it goes viral.
Oh,
I
so.
now like me, I'm the kind of person who I tend to do it after it goes live,
Mm,
but the people who go viral
mm,
will not change it until that video is viral, and then that tells them mentally how many videos they have that went viral. And
mm,
then at the same time, when you change something on YouTube, YouTube will then go, "Oh, I need to push this out into the algorithm again, brah, because you
mm.
changed something." But
Yeah,
so if you do it too quickly to itself,
yeah.
the algorithm will say, "Oh, you're trying to cheat the system." But if you did it after it was already viral, not while it's going viral, but after it went viral, the
Mm,
system will go, "Oh, I don't know what major change was done, but I see the hash changed. Let me push it out just in case it's something some people need to know." And
mm.
now it goes viral again.
Wow. See, and again, that's again, people will try to. I'm making she should be a no. No, I'm making a VTuber channel. Well, I hope it goes well. It's for some it's costly, for others they find free ways.
Yeah, I've
But
done mine 100% for free.
yeah, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, for me, it's sort of like I do this thing just because I get to talk to people like you. But if I don't have to, if I can find ways of having to get around all that clickbait stuff, because that's usually the stuff that gets the scene stuff, I'd rather do that, because it's about keeping to the authenticity of, rather than trying to play this 1,000-page game where you're trying to hit all those notes and just take off. Because that's what most people want to do, is they want to take off, they want to get the numbers, they want to get the money, all this stuff. And I'm just like, I do this thing because of the opportunity it allows me. But there are ways to try to stay within the authenticity of, while using the system on itself, in that
Hmm.
regard.
Yeah, because I think you do it the right way, bro. Like the slow and low way to go is like ultimate. Because if you look at Linus Tech Tips, they've
Yeah.
never had a viral moment. I think their most viral moment was when um, Linus was stepping down from CEO and he was
Oh.
apologizing, and people were
Oh.
roasting him for apologizing.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that was his most viral moment, and they were multi-millionaires basically by that time, right?
Yeah.
And they did the slow and go. They didn't do all of the viral trend stuff. But the funny thing is, some of the stuff they were doing was kind of ahead of their time. Like they were putting their names and ats and titles. They would put hashtags in the titles instead
Mm,
of just in the tag or just in the description.
mm,
And they, for example, they found out that the putting the object you're talking about in the thumbnail
mm,
was the biggest thing they figured out.
mm.
And then when the meta became to do the stupid O face on
Oh yeah.
your
Oh gosh.
that's when they started including the speaker of the video on the thumbnail, which then ended up becoming a meta about 8 or 9 years later. Now, right
Jesus.
now, the meta is to put the object you're talking about and the people you're talking about on the thumbnail. That's all you need on there.
Mm,
Sometimes a little bit of text that makes people go, "What?" is best because it's technically clickbait,
yeah.
and then having a title that has your at and a single hashtag at the end, but is clear and decisive, which is again something you get perfectly. All of your titles are always clear and decisive. It always
Oh
explains kind of what we're talking about, even though I like every time I'm reading it, I'm like, I don't know what that means. But after I'm done, I'm like, yeah, that was right. That
yeah.
made sense. You know? So like you doing it right, bro, and getting up slow, it's going to give you a real audience because people who go viral, they want that money. Well, they've
Mm,
already gone slow and stuff, and they got the they're in the ability to create revenue. So then
yeah.
they do something to make a revenue point,
Yeah.
and to them, that's for them, they get a rush. They're like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. But like most people, like if the way you're going, eventually one of these days, this is gonna just be like a regular income that you're gonna be seeing coming in. Maybe at first it'd be like, oh, bro, I got like regular fun money or something, and then
Yeah.
one day you're just gonna be like, bro, this is like actual money. Like
Yeah.
I've seen dozens of friends of mine. Like one of my friends, Kenneth Bozak, we
Mhm.
were like chilling out in his house one night in Philly. Like
Wow.
he had, paid for me to go up there. He wasn't super rich or anything. He was living with his brother, and
Mhm.
we were chilling in this little house and blah blah blah. And then less than a year later, he was a multimillionaire, just because
What?
like he was already in the me and him were in the partner program.
Right.
We were both getting paid by YouTube,
Right.
and he had a viral moment where one day, because like every day he would walk to work, he would
Mhm.
record himself with a 360 camera walking to work.
Yeah.
And one day the company who made the camera saw his video,
Wow.
and he went viral. And it just like one thing went viral, then the next thing went viral, then like every day he was viral. And then all that money that he was working at the same time, so all that money he was making from YouTube, he was just setting off to the side, and he was buying Bitcoin and setting off to the side
Wow.
and not paying attention. And one day we were talking, and he was like, yeah, I made $1 million today because Bitcoin went up like 13 points.
Oh, I always see those things where people are like, back in the day when Bitcoin was, I was like, oh man, there was a story where there was a guy who bought pizza with Bitcoin. It
Yeah,
was
I
like,
remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
but it was like, it was, it was a thing where they're like, oh man, it was like $1 a piece or whatever, and now it's like worth 100,000. It's like, yeah, but you never know how much something is. Again,
Hmm.
for me, it's just I know this is kind of especially coming from someone like you who's very knowledgeable technical wise, and you have all the skill. For me, it's always been about I'd rather be the one that beats the algorithm rather than, I have to rely on it to some degree to get seen, but I'd rather be one that beats it, because if you can beat the algorithm that many people rely on to get their stuff viral, then you show that you have some mastery beyond the electronical, because it all relies on electronical one way or another. But if you're able to get beyond, a namesake or something like that, if you're able to get beyond that point of fully relying on the algorithm to get your stuff out there, that creates something in a way that can't be turned off. I mean, it can be turned off like scandals or controversy and whatnot, but I
Yeah.
mean, if you play it right. But my thing is like, it's a thing I didn't see a lot of other content creators do. Everyone, it's politics, there's gaming, there's all this other stuff. At the end of the day, people choose what they want to do. That's fine. I'm not going to go out here and tell people how to make content. It's just a faction of, I didn't see a lot of people doing what it is I'm doing now to the degree I'm doing it. Because how many content creators do you come by that invite people on that don't create content? That just sit and talk about whatever, or so on and so forth. And I just didn't see that of the people I followed. And so the idea hit me after I had somebody on, was to just try it, to kind of sporadically go through it. And it wasn't until like April of 2024 is when I started doing like my sort of like what I'm doing now, like the calendar thing, right? Like this is my calendar. It's right calendar right now, but I haven't filled in the rest. But
Nice.
it's like the the point of the matter is, though, is I just found something that I didn't see a lot of people do, and aren't, to some manner, because I get, like my guest yesterday, some people are very anxious ridden or nervous ridden or whatever, and so having a conversation with someone on the bounds of whatever is can be quite a scary thing, because some people are worried about their channel, like someone says something wrong, or this or
Mhm.
that or whatever. But at the end of the day, though, it's like it's an opportunity that has so much opportunity with it. It's like having a small box, right? You get a small box for Christmas and you think, oh, it's gonna be a small gift. But in that small box is a gift so big that it keeps giving beyond the scope of what it was contained in, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's like when your grandpa gave you a stock or something, or a
Yeah.
bond, and then you turn 21 and you realize that that tiny little box or whatever is, your money, your kids' money, and their kids' money.
Hmm.
You know, There would be, the people that did that kind of thing back in the day.
Yeah, and I've been putting money into stocks too. Of course, Fatal here. Fatal investing does too. But for me, it's just this thing that I didn't see other content creators doing when I was watching, just consuming content. And then now having that same opportunity to have people like you on, or Gaming Chat on, or even Luke's Awakening, who's been on before. The opportunity is so massive that it almost encompasses beyond YouTube itself because, again, who's out there, beyond talk, there's those talk shows, right? But
Hmm.
it's this weird amalgamation of things. Oh, thank you for that typing cat. But it's just it was a natural choice to choose, and of course so was the name. Like, my name came out of, like, how, I mean, there are so many people out there that put like cast or podcast at the end of their show. There's some that have original name, but majority or not, it's like cast or some form. And it's like, that doesn't make sense to do what everyone else does. And so I just kind of came up with it because, part of its name that I just
Hmm.
made out of off of a word, word that's an alcohol drink, vermouth, and just kind of went with that. And it's very interesting, and some people still get hung up on, like, calling it an interview show or whatever. But I'm like, you don't understand that it's not an interview. It's a conversational piece, because, again, I just didn't see many people do. I know there are people out there who do free form conversation, but they usually stick within their circle of people, or people who are within their niche or whatever. And I'm just like, there's so much opportunity beyond those points. I don't know why people don't do more, and there's understandable reasons, right? They make a thing. You could bring somebody on that could be detriment to it or ruin it, or you could bring people on who aren't really conversing and all this stuff. But the problem of that is, like, you don't challenge yourself at the same time when you're conversing with someone. Like, you have a lot of skill, but you also have a handicap. But you don't let that stop you in doing what you want to do, which is amazing in itself. For many who do that, right? Not just you, but for many who are like that, who don't let their handicapness or their disability, or whatever you want to call it, stop them from living, basically. But many people on another side of the coin do. And it's just like, why get stuck here? Why get stuck within the circle? Like, I have the whole world to grasp, and you're here with this group. I get it. You're building a community, you build friends. That's fine. But I have a world to reach out to. And that's something that boggles my mind to even now. Like, I've had on over 200 guests, and I just it takes some of the content creators I used to watch, not so much anymore, but still follow. It would almost take them a year or so to have that amount. And I'm not doing, like, that sort of weird thing, like I have bragging rights, whatever. But it was like, boggles my mind. It'll probably takes me less than a year or so to have that amount, and it takes them more than that. And usually they invite the same person back on, and not go beyond the grasp of what they do. Um, but I mean, that's just me though. I can be wrong, but I'm not. I can't I can't stop doing this thing because of how much opportunity is in that small box. It's unfathomable. Um,
Oh yeah, I agree with you, man. Like I've been on tons of like little talks like this, but a lot of the ones that I would go on, they would be like, you have to have a specific point or thing or object you are promoting. You have to have an audience and like all these different things. And like I've actually been denied like many different places and stuff just because like they're like, oh no, you don't have enough followers on your X or you don't
ugh,
have enough viewers
that's
and
bull.
it's like, yeah,
That's
and it's
bull.
like, that's not the only thing that drives people though and whatnot. But at the same time though, like the way you do it, like that's gonna you're gonna win totally overall. Because like remember that example I gave you with Linus Tech Tips, they haven't had a single viral moment, they're super huge.
Yeah.
And they do the exact same thing. They go for the general. They go for the big. They go
Mhm,
for the worldview. As in,
mhm.
like, they don't just sit down and handle like American products. They get global products, and they
Oh,
they
really?
they review, they review the machine parts and stuff, or the
Mm,
trends that are not just happening in America. And they've gone as far as like going to actual China uh, shops to buy all the parts to build
ah,
Chinese computers, and like, okay,
jeez.
this is about how much it costs over there. And then they go to Europe and they do it over there. And like, all right, this is how much it costs over there. And they go in America and they do it there. And they go into Canada, they do it there. And they kind of show you what the actual cost to build a computer is in other countries across the globe.
Wow.
And again, like you were talking, they're not just going for one point or one niche or one group. They're going for all of it. Like for them, they're the tech sector, but they're
Yeah.
the entire tech sector. They have
Like,
handled from like parts to software to operating systems to people who just work within the services to
wow.
people who just deal with it. They've had like gamers, like professional gamers on their
Mhm.
stuff where they built PCs together and they got to talk to the professional gamer to find out how much they knew about the stuff. They've had like random nobodies on their show to put together a computer to show how much regular people tend to know about computers. And
Mhm.
but they're doing the same thing as you, man. They're going for that broad audience to let everybody in, to not say no to just people. Because like I've been told tons of time, oh no, you can't come on here. You don't actually make stuff. Like I'm like, yeah, sure, I make computer programs and web
Yeah.
page extensions, and they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's not the same thing, man.
It's still something. I still do something with my hand. Come on now.
It's like, okay, I built one of the data handler engines in the back end of Facebook and the original Twitter before Elon Musk bought it, that
Wow.
handled the output of help files based on real search queries happening at the time that you go into help. So there used to be a time when you go into Facebook help, it'd give you these little pop-ups of like stuff people said that actually
Yeah.
kind of show you how to do it. I built a little system that would plug those in for you automatically. So you didn't have to predetermine those. The system could just find them.
Wow, that's actually pretty awesome. I didn't. That's and the thing for me too is speaking on like Twitter X, like the thing of it is like they do there was one thing I learned where you do kind of put your links in the post after because they kind of delist you if you put your links in the same post as your
Yeah.
first post, which is kind of understandable in a way because they are a business and they want you to stay on their platform. However, it's kind of cruddy.
Yeah, because they used to have this thing where if you had a link or an image or anything other than regular text, it was considered just additional. And now they break down what that additional is. So
Mhm.
they can be like, if you put in the alt text of your picture a link, sure, the system will see you have a link in there, but it won't flag you for it
Mhm. Y-
because you can't just click it.
Yeah. The yeah, you can't click on an image, but I mean for me it's just kind of like I'm not that technical. I use Canva for making my thumbnails and I use Claude for like doing a bunch of other stuff.
Bro, that's
Um
all you need, man.
yeah, you use the tools that are out there. And I know again, I know a lot of people hey, I've had one of them on, a guest on who's very adamant against AI, but the problem of it is that it's the problem of it is that you can be as against AI as you want, but like you said about Pandora's box, that box has been opened ages ago and it's not
Hmm.
closing. It's not
Yeah.
closing. And no matter how much can one would wish it away, you just can't. So you have an option is you can either use a tool in a good way, in a more positive way that will be beneficial, or you can just ransack and destroy. And I'm more on the positive, better side, but I guess, but digress. My knowledge scale is not as capable as yours, but I'm always up for learning a little bit here and there. Um, yeah, maybe one day. I'll just put that. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm fascinated by it because and just using Claude because I use DeepSeek. I had used DeepSeek a while back, and then there of course is like that Manus one
Hmm.
was another one, which was kind of a weird one. But for me, using Claude is just it's been beneficial in a way that I've not found with like Grok or whatever because I've used Grok. It's been I don't know how to describe it. it's been like um it's been like a need met, is as best as I can describe it. It's a need that's been met. I could go to Grok because I have premium and use Grok. Well, actually, you can use Grok without premium, I think
Yeah,
now.
I use it on free.
But so you can use it, and it will just give you, it will explain a post, but it'll go through all the stuff and add all this. It does a lot of extra things that don't really need to be, and you have to tell it to not do that, which is a weird thing. Like you want the direct source, or you want the direct line of what you want, rather than a whole bunch of explanations plus the addition of websites and whatnot. And of course, like you said, also many of these are starting to turn out the same, where now they're starting to go through links and internet and all that stuff. Um, but at the end of the day, um, I just find myself and of course they have more of like a max thing now on Claude, where you pay like $100 a month or whatever. I'm not gonna do that. That I don't make that much money, but I don't know. It's a lot for me. I'd rather use Claude than trying to do this weird thing with Opus Clips. If you've ever heard of it, which they use AI for, like the you can make shorts with it and stuff. It's been at times you're correcting more mistakes than it can do, and it's just like ugh. Um,
Yeah, yeah. For a lot of people, just using one that you just use on the web browser or something that you're not downloading to your computer. I'm assuming that's what you're doing with Claude, right? You're not
well, they do.
downloading it.
Well, there is a I did there is a downloadable version that they did have
But
that I
I'm
have.
asking like how you use it, right?
Yeah, I use the web version. Or a web, either on my mobile or my or the desktop.
Yeah,
But
I do find the mobile communication with like a lot of the AI model systems tend to be like the best way to talk to it. As in like it just works. It just works better. Like it's not relying on a whole bunch and stuff. But at
right.
the same time, like when you got those web-based ones, man, like that's really great for 99% of everything that everybody needs to do. But if you're wanting to like, like you're saying they got that one that is specifically makes shorts and clips and stuff, and
Yeah.
there's one that you can plug into DaVinci Resolve, which is an editor for, like a FOSS editor,
Oh.
that also will do it for you,
Oh.
which is a little bit more reliable. But you can also just get a basic computer or laptop and make sure it just has a GPU and at least an i7 or better.
Mhm.
And then basically you download Chat GPT for all,
Mhm.
and you download all of the AI version type things you want to embed with it, like, including Claude,
Mm.
Grok, all that stuff you can embed with it. And basically it will be all the different parts all together at the same time for you. And
Mhm.
what that will allow you to do is whatever the heck you really want. And because the thing that people have problems with when using the web ones,
Yeah.
it's that AI is learning based off everybody talking to it at the same time,
Wow.
right? So one moment that you're talking to it, it's going to react in a certain way. Then the next moment you react, it's going to react slightly different because a ton of other people are talking to it. When you
Mhm.
drop it down onto a home computer or home thing and it's offline,
Yeah.
um, now only you are influencing it. So when you start getting
Oh.
it to do stuff you like, you
Mhm.
can keep doing that. You can keep it to where it keeps doing the stuff you like.
Oh.
And you can do stuff like you can create little checkpoint maps. I forget what they're actually called. Like they're kind of like digital screenshots of the AI and the
Mhm.
model and everything. And imagine it like a save file,
Mhm.
and it puts it off somewhere else. Normally you have to put it down to a DVD disc.
Yeah.
Because it's quite large, and then
Mhm.
you don't let it access to it. You don't let the AI access to it. And then if the AI is ever doing stuff that you're like, I am not happy with my AI. You go grab that disk, you slap it at the computer, and you say, "Brah, go back to the way I like it." You
Mhm.
just reset your AI back to that disk, and then guess what? Now it's doing the things you like again, and then
Mhm.
you can try again to get to where you want it. Because like I hate AI. My daughter, she has this AI on her phone that she talks to
Mhm.
help her with her anxiety and to
Yeah.
help her learn how to deal with social tasks. And I hate AI, and I'm like, "Stop talking to the AI. You need to tell the AI I do not approve." And she just looks at me and rolls her eyes because, Like I'm using two AIs right now to have this model running.
Mm,
I use AI all the time. Like you've probably seen 10 or 12 pictures behind us that were completely AI generated behind us. And
mm,
even like my Twitter picture, my YouTube picture, my Rumble picture, it's an AI image. I mean, I've gotten Stable Diffusion to make images so realistic that people can't tell they're not real. And like it's fun. It's as a tool, there's
yeah,
a lot there for
yeah.
everyone. But the second you're like, oh no, this is going to be used to replace something or to replace the human usability or whatever, then it no longer is worth it. It's kind of crap after that. Like, for example, like I like to make art. I'm a traditionally trained artist. I was actually
Oh wow.
tutored for over 12 years to do art
Mm,
by my aunt she went to college to be a master teacher in art. So she's got a
mm,
master's in teaching art and she
mm,
took me down and I got to learn art. I also took art in school, took college, went to college for Photoshop and all that stuff. And I will sit down and be like, AI, I need a texture of a 19th century column or something. And it's like the stuff I use AI to produce is like a texture file or a background image that I'm going to use behind the character that I made. And
mm,
and it's allowing me to take where I can do like my art because, like, for example, everything you're seeing on my model is 100% made by me. This is a jacket I made on my own, the skin I
wow.
made on my own, my eyeballs I made on my own, even the
Nice.
necklace on my chest I made on my own. And I didn't use AI or anything, but I could have easily been like, yeah, AI, give me a texture of reptilian skin to put on my fur over my skin or something. And
Yeah.
and but I didn't. But at the same time, I can make all that on my own. If I want to spend the 30 hours to make reptilian scales, I've done it before. I could do it again. But that's the thing. Do you know how many hours it takes to make that stuff? It takes hours and hours. So single artists are going, all right, I'll use AI as a tool. I'll speed my process up. I'll
Mm,
also do art with it. They're not just taking whatever the AI gets and just spitting it back out. They're
yeah.
using part of it with them. As long as you have humans involved with AI,
Mm.
AI is wonderful. The second you're trying to get humans out of it, the second AI is bad. I think my personal opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard that one before too. But yeah, it's just more of it's I wouldn't say conversations, but it's nice to kind of take yourself out of the frame a bit, and just kind of take a step back for a second, right? Instead of with social media, right? How the emotional aspect, you're reacting to things, and you have all this drama fighting, whatever. It's nice you can use it to kind of take a step back and saying maybe I should step away and not respond to that sort of thing at all. It's using that tool in the sense of when it's better to step in or when it's just better to walk away in that regard. Because I mean, social media is just a detriment to its own self. But I digress. It's nice to at least get that. Um, like you said, it's a nice tool to use, but depend on it wholly, and it just gets bad because you can tell there's something missing, to some degree. But then again, it's not far off that people would rather replace another person with that than keep going because of all the different variables of all the different problems that plague us as humans. And yeah, that's the way
Hmm.
that goes. But anyway, it is getting close to the top of the hour, so we're gonna start winding down to go to the wrap up, and all that part. So we're gonna do the promotion stuff again, and then I'll tell you who's coming tomorrow and all this stuff. But yeah, so go ahead and I'm gonna see if I can find it. Go ahead and promote your stuff. I got your links up here, so I'll the floor is yours, good sir.
Oh, thank you, bro. So, every other Sunday, I'm breaking it down on 3D Changes Perspectives on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and absolutely everywhere we can get it, including Rumble, through the digital broadcasting company system, blah, blah, blah. And basically, I'm going to break down anything that's really technical. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible to change the perspective and way you look at it. I'm not going to sit here and say what it is or if it's good or bad, but I'm simply going to make you see a different way to look at the situation of what's going on. And then if you want to go ahead and check me out on the other Sundays when I'm not talking, I'm actually playing video games, having
Nice.
fun. Most recently, we've been breaking Oblivion. I've literally broken the AI so bad that I'm able to hide from the AI by just crouching. just go invisible. Well, literally, the AI will even sit there and say, "Where'd she go? Where'd she go? Where'd she go?" And it cannot find me. It's funny. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. And then yeah, check me out on GitHub, Digimancer 3D. I do
Mhm.
all this stuff with hashnets, hashing, and in between.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, it's pretty. I tried to go to that website that's linked in your Twitter X, and it doesn't really do anything. But then again, I don't know how to do with it. So
Oh, is it 3D the dot ninja?
it's like it leads to a green like green lettering on the website. It almost looks like
Yeah.
old computer text sort of thing.
Yeah, that's my actual website. It's a fully JavaScript terminal. It's not completely made.
Oh,
I got an error in the calculator for being able to do like 3 and 4 step complicated math, and I kind of got mad at it and said, you know what, I'm going to go build something else, and just kind of left it there. But it is an actual terminal. You can log in, you can set an account, and all that's not going to a server or anything. So that's like only being done on your computer.
wow.
So you don't have to worry about anyone seeing it or anything like that. It's not permanent or anything. And so the second you click off it all just disappears like it never happened.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Because I know a lot of people, they make websites for whatever. But yeah, that is pretty awesome. Don't know how I would do that though, because it'd be nice not to have a pay for a website, but can't you have to pay to own a domain or something like that to own
Yeah,
one?
I own the domain. I use GitHub right now to bypass having a server and all that. Because I do have a server, but it doesn't actually run my website.
Mm,
Um, I'm like really poor. Like I
same.
didn't even have a computer until like 2020 because like I broke my computer in 2013,
Mm,
and I didn't have a computer for years and years, and I was doing everything from a phone.
wow.
And like when I built Private Paper, I built that on a cell phone, like 5.5-inch screen, all text. It was over 1,000 lines of code, all done on a cell phone.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. But it just goes to show you, like, people like yourself who can think sort of outside the box or can do more than usually what you know as one would say normies would use the tool. Where's all the chatters tonight? Both ends. I streamed to both Rumble and YouTube, so you get that. um but yeah, no, oops, nope, that's the wrong one. But yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. And again, I was just like, I went to the website, I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Yeah, that's really my website. I
Oh,
don't
good.
normally use it to promote myself. I normally just put something neat for people to play with.
Well, unfortunately, I do not know how to play with the tool, but I just thought it was like it looked pretty cool. It looked very sci-fi, sort of thing. Um, but again, for my end of things, whether you're on the Rumble side or the YouTube side, because I do stream to both, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, sharing the content, leaving a comment or follow, anything that helps with the engagement factor is much appreciated, because not only does it help in being seen more, like all content creators. I mean, come on, if a content creator says they don't want to be seen more, I think they might be lying, or they're probably a scam bot from India, which seems to be most where bots are from. Um, but it also helps with having other people on, like Zombied, like Fatal Investing, who I've had on before, like Luke's Awakening, and like so many others. At the end of the day, I do this thing to kind of talk to people across the table, whether they're a creator or not, or the numbers or whatever that stupid stuff is, because that's just ridiculous. That you have to. That's a funny thing too. Is I heard once that there was a content creator that had to be paid to come on a show, and I'm like, you already get paid anyway. What more do you want? Right? You're just giving up a little of your time. If you just tell them, like, if you were to tell the people you're going to, like, I'll give you an hour and that's that. If they don't respect it, that's on them. But if they respect it, at least they got an hour out of you. It's just this weird thing in the content creator sphere. I don't get. And also, with I gotta find it. Where's the link? Oh, there we go. Also, I have a link down below. You can click on that. It'll take you to my link tree where it's like a Twitter X. I have email there, Proton email, by the way. And of course, I have a link that's going to Discord, but it's mostly just for DMing. I don't have a server. I'm not even sure if I'll even ever have a server, because I only have so much mental bandwidth. Yeah, it's one of those things that's just no. I've seen some of those media kits that some of these content creators put together. No, no, not going to. Sorry. But also, again, I am part of the Proton Partner Program. Again, best three things I give to you to kind of just to check them out. They let you use an alias email. They help. They are very good about spam and spam stuff. And they're all. Oops. And I'm back. Oh goodness, I hate when that happens. But they're also very good about. Um,
Must be that 2 hour mark refresh.
yeah, they're working on it, but it's going to take a while. But also the other fact is that they don't have ads and they don't scan your inbox for all that stuff like Gmail would do, right? Like we all know Gmail, Google does that. But for Proton, they don't do that. They Oh, thank you, Neuro. They don't do that. They have your inbox is your inbox. And again, I use the Proton Mail. They have other stuff too, but I'm just promoting the Proton Mail because I believe it can be beneficial for many people. They offer a free account and they offer paid accounts. There's more you could do with paid, but again, you can get some of the stuff free as well. So give it a look. Even if you don't choose anything, at least it was free to look at. So thank you very much for that. And of course, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Oh, hold on, I better check first. Yes, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, I will have on another VTuber of sorts called Sir Slender. He's a very English man. No, it's not Englishman. It's a very proper gentleman with a monocle. So he'll be on tomorrow. I met him through one of my Pay It Forward streams, and also found his account on Twitter X. So that was interesting. But he'll be on tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. So hope you'll be able to join for that and all that stuff. Never. But never. But again, the one last thing I do with all my guests, Zombie, is I do this thing called questions from a hat. So what happens is I bought a hat from Mumble, like you can see there, and I put some questions inside it. So what happens is that my guest, you, get 2 freebie questions. However, if people want more than the 2 questions below the hat, then they have to give a Rumble rant for it. Now, obviously, I am on YouTube, but I'm not monetized. So, sorry. But on Rumble, I am monetized, so it doesn't matter the amount you give. You can spam a 1, you can spam the 500. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have to give a Rumble rant in order to have more than the 2 questions. So, Zombie, are you ready?
Yep.
All right. So here's the first question, just for you. All right. Let's see what we got. Here we go. Here's the first question right here, and it is. Here's one. When traveling, do you go for a window seat or an aisle seat?
I go for window.
Window.
I like to look out the windows.
You like to look at the window. Now, what if the engine catches on fire? Do you close the window?
Oh no, I'm gonna look right out the window. Like I'm gonna have my face to the window. Like, ooh, look at that.
It's on fire! It's on fire! I know, it's so fun. It's like, no!
Can I feel the heat yet?
Where's the marshmallows? Someone get the marshmallows. Oh, we're so bad people though. All right. Well, here's the secondary one. Unless someone gives a rumble rant, that will be the end of that. Here's question number 2. Let's see what it says. It says, what's your least favorite color and why?
Oh,
Yeah. Now,
yellow.
Yep. Why yellow?
It hurts my eyes.
Oh, okay. Well, that is understandable. I can't look at the sun. I can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, I had to think about that. It was like I was gonna say purple because it. I don't know. I don't really like purple. It's like I look at it, I'm just like, ew. But yellow is just like so much worse. It's like some stuff would be yellow. It'd be so bright. It's like I gotta squint just to look at it because it's so bright. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's I just know that well, one, you shouldn't be looking in the sun anyway because that will blind you.
hmm
And no, that's no, but yeah, that's just one of those things like what was it? I think I heard someone say green once or whatever. But yeah, no, that's interesting. But yeah, of course, again, like I said, my guests, their sun is coming at 7 p.m. Eastern. And of course, if you are a Rumble Premium user, I do a little thing at the end because I'm part of the creator program, so I have to do that premium exclusive stuff. Wish I didn't have to, but it is what it is. So we'll be going to that wrap up portion. I hate yellow too. Well, there you go. Now you get someone else who hates yellow too. There
Nice.
you go. But again, we are going to go to the wrap up after this. But of course, even if you don't have it, you still get the full show. Cause I figure why not? I figure I'd just do like a little extra thing rather than like some people they do like they cut off at an hour and then you see the rest of the show. No, this is extra stuff. So you want to see extra stuff? Gotta be a Rumble Premium user. If not, I will see you all tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. And of course, as always, I end at least this part of the show with One Day With You on Bye Pogo. And again, guys, I hope you will have a wonderful rest of your evening. And also, thank you, chat, on both the Rumble and YouTube side for coming. And of course, thank you, Zombie, for coming on. You're always welcome to come back if you wish. Because I usually try to tell my guests they can come back anytime. But the month of June is full. Like I'm other than the weekends, the weekdays are full as heck. So I still gotta fill up the rest of my calendar. That's how full it is. But anyway, guys, one day with sorry, one day with you by Pogo. Have a great run of the night. And don't forget to mute your mic as well. But we will see you next time. Bye, guys. Oops. There we go.